I can't remember what it was, but you know, some group that go out and do it, normalize it.
One of them.
It's kind
Something that was reported. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a logical explanation. It's coming out. But I want to know what it is.
Good shirt.
Thank you. That made a comment.
Jumps out a little bit. Yeah. It looks like it's two percent.
That is on page white.
That's about 97, 98. I wristwatch or a clock on the wall. You take your pick.
Yeah.
You're the mayor, you get your sign.
So then we'll go by the clock on the wall and get this operation going. Okay. Do the pledge and then we can.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we call the July 11, 2017 council meeting to order. All council members present, Administrator Dawson, Attorney Riggs, Engineer Ryan. And I don't see any regular, ordinary citizens here. Everybody here seems to have a message, so not a message, mission. So I guess we can skip over the citizens' comments. I know we've got at least one addition to the agenda. Are there any?
Just resolution 2713, dealing with the factory truck purchase lease.
Right. So that'd be under legal.
Yep.
And that's the only change?
Yes, that's the only change.
So, we have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Consent agenda. Do we have a motion to accept that, or is there anything that should be changed?
I would like to consent to a consent agenda, so I'll make that motion.
We'll second that. All in favor? Aye. He's always got to change things up just a little bit. So then we get on to presentations, public hearings, recognitions, etc. And we have two people here to make a presentation on the Towards Zero Deaths program. Jessica?
Did you email it to me like a while ago?
July 4th.
Okay, yeah, just bear with me a minute here.
As I would you like my dump drive?
Yeah, that'd be quicker, yep. If you have one, otherwise I can get the email.
It's anything like my inbox, you're gonna be waiting through it for a while.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And then it's under the folder that's city council.
Apologize for that.
Oh, okay.
Try to get some move over here.
Life is not happening.
There we
just
go.
Looking at a screen, right?
All right.
And then slideshow.
My hearing is.
Yeah, there we go. Got it.
Perfect.
I thought it was 4-0 depth.
Well, not really, yes. So, good evening, Mayor Engel and members of the City Council. My name is Jessica State, and I'm the Community Health Specialist for Goodhue County Health and Human Services, and also the Goodhue County Towards Zero Death, also known as TZD, Safe Roads Grant Coordinator.
And everybody knows me, I'm Officer Mike. I am the TZD coordinator for our city in Kenyon here. So I work with all the other coordinators from the various cities, and then we work with Jessica, and then we coordinate our efforts here. And when we presented the information for Towards Zero Death, TZD is what we'll call it for short here. Last year, you know, I kind of sat back and I talked to Jessica and I was like, well, we're giving them numbers and statistics and everything, but I really want to go more in depth with what the program is so you guys can understand what TZD is all about. So that's why we're doing it this way, just so you guys can have a better understanding of why we enforce TZD, why the program exists. And it all started out with something called Safe and Sober. When Minnesota started a program where it focused it on more of alcohol, intoxicated driver or so. And that's where TZD kind of expanded from the Safe and Sober program. Now TZD now focuses on 4 things, just not impaired driving, intoxicated driver or anything. It's now focusing on distracted driving, speeding, belts. So it pretty much adds a little bit more to it. So
our vision is simple: 0 deaths and serious injuries on our roadways. And the TZD mission explains how we plan to do just that. So our mission is to move Minnesota towards 0 deaths on our roads using education, enforcement, engineering, and emergency medical and trauma services. So this slide shows how factors that contribute to highway crashes are interconnected. So human behavior, the driver, the infrastructure, and the vehicle. So while AASHTO, which is the State Transportation Department, are focused primarily on the roadways and infrastructure, we're also involved with the human behavior and the human factor discussions. And we are also collaborating with the auto industry and other associations to make improvements to vehicle safety. So driver error contributes in some form to approximately 93% of highway crashes. The roadway environment, including both roadway design and as well as weather, so factors such as darkness, rain, snow, ice, contribute to 34% of crashes. And the vehicle itself, a blown tire, mechanical failure, safety devices or lack of safety devices within the vehicle contribute to 13% of crashes. So these focus areas are what our regional crash data shows are our highest contributing factors to traffic-related fatalities and serious injuries: speed, seatbelt use, distracted driving, impaired driving. We've been focusing on these factors for the last few years, but we still aren't at zero, so our work continues. Changing someone's behavior to eliminate crashes is not an easy task. So each year, illegal or unsafe speeds is a leading contributing factor in Minnesota fatalities, accounting for at least 130 deaths annually, of which 70% occur on rural two-lane roads in Minnesota. Young adult motorists are the most common offenders and those at highest risk. Speeding is not an innocent crime. It puts every motorist at risk on the road. So did you know in 2015, 86% of unbelted traffic deaths occurred in greater Minnesota? Rural two-lane roads are dangerous, so we need to take action to stay safe, buckle up every time. A record percentage of Minnesotans do buckle up, 94%. Yet each year, more than half of the motorists who are killed in crashes aren't belted. So that's translating to more than 150 deaths and more than 400 serious injuries annually. Distracted driving or inattentive driving is when a driver engages in any activity that might distract them from the primary task of driving and increases the risk of crashing. And we have seen a reduction of alcohol-related deaths in Minnesota, but impaired driving is still a serious threat on Minnesota roads. So impaired driving accounts for more than 100 deaths each year, and about 30,000 motorists are arrested each year for DWI. 1 in 7 Minnesota drivers has a DWI on record. So the Towards Zero Deaths program focuses on the application of 4 strategic areas to reduce crashes. The 4 E's: education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency and medical services. We have recently included a 5th E, everyone, as everyone shares the road. So working together, these efforts will make a difference on Minnesota roadways.
So then, for that nice group there. So something good about Goodhue County and just being in Minnesota overall is when it comes to law enforcement, in Goodhue County, we probably have one of the true mutual aid county in Minnesota, I believe, is because all the police departments and the sheriff's deputies and everybody, we all work together very well. And we're always assisting each other, whether it's outside or inside our city or other cities. We're not just bound to just helping out people within our cities. We're bound to help everyone. So if anybody needs help, we go there, or we need help, they come here. And nobody, we have their backs and they have our backs. So we have pretty much a true mutual aid county. In regards to TZD, because we have a good mutual aid county, working together, enforcing all these waves, as we call it, whether it's speed, impaired driving, all those other et cetera. You'll see all these departments working like out in City of Goodhue, out in Red Wing. I think today they're doing it on Highway 61. And it's a joint effort that people see that cities from all over the county work together. So when we do this, it's just to show that we're trying to make an effort to make the roadway safe for others as they drive through. We recently had a seatbelt wave here in Kenyon about a couple months in April. And July is focused on speed. May is
belts.
Yeah, May is belts, and then August is all impaired driving. But summertime is very busy for us when it comes to TZD enforcement, because that's when people are on the roads. That's why we want to get on the roadways and just make sure that people are safely driving to A to B. Is there any questions on that at all?
Do you have a guess in that, as far as distracted driving, how much of that is cell phones?
Well, distracted driving can be anything, but I
Right.
would have to say that majority of distracted driving has been cell phones, more so, and it's really with the younger generation itself too that we're seeing it. Where you're just driving and you look next to you while you're driving down the highway, or just even in town here, that they're not looking on the road, they're looking down on their phone.
I know, I see a lot of it.
Yeah. And, you know, for me, I guess when I'm working, this is my perception. I would believe that maybe 60% of the people that I see driving of the younger age are looking at their phones while they're driving. I would say 2 out of 10 cars, 2 or 3 out of 10 cars that I see, people are face down or looking at something other than the road. Lee, would you say that too, about that?
Maybe strong, silent type of.
And July happens to be one of our deadliest months too in the state of Minnesota. So that's not
More miles being put on by everybody.
exactly. And then the speed and good weather.
Yeah, good weather, speeding, and then on your phone as well too. I mean, it all adds together, and nobody pays attention, and you don't stop in time. Then there's your accident, there's your death, there's somebody else's. You know, there goes your insurance. But
Our TCD efforts, besides what we just stated, have been working. The image shows the number of deaths on our roadways have dramatically been reduced since the TCD program began in Minnesota in 2003. When TCD began in 2003, we were seeing an uptick in traffic related fatalities. 655 people died on our roadways in 2003 alone. Preliminary data for 2016 shows that 392 people died on our roads. However, we're now seeing a plateau. We need to keep doing the good work that we have been doing, but also look to innovative ways to keep the line moving towards 0 deaths on our roadways. I don't have to remind you that each of these deaths was someone's mom, dad, brother, sister, or friend. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And it took a lot of effort and collaboration to get here. So these are just a few of the legislative initiatives that all help push the trend line down. So these legislative actions are the result of a culture shift in Minnesota as it pertains to traffic safety, because most legislators will not support a bill unless the majority of people are in favor of the bill. So in the spring of 2009, the Minnesota legislature changed the state seatbelt law, making not wearing a seatbelt a primary offense, where officers can ticket drivers for not wearing a seatbelt even if there's no other traffic law being broken. The research team analyzed the data prior to passage of the primary seatbelt law to actual crash data in the years after it went into effect. And within 2 years, from July 2009 to June 2011, studies estimate there have been 68 to 92 fewer fatalities from motor vehicle crashes and 320 to 550 fewer serious injuries since the primary seatbelt law went into effect. So this improves safety records. It translates to at least $45 million in avoided hospital charges, including a direct savings of nearly $10 million or more tax dollars that would have been paid for expenses charged to government insurers. So the table on the right shows total number of deaths in the southeast region by year. So as the state of Minnesota saw an increase in traffic-related fatalities, the southeast region actually dropped from 49 deaths in 2014 to 48 in 2015, and preliminary reports show that southeast has dropped to 46 fatalities in 2016. So the southeast region is headed in the right direction. So today I ask you, what is it going to take to get us off this plateau and get Minnesota's trend line moving downward again? So we are here today not just to celebrate our successes, but to discuss what comes next. So traffic safety culture is a shared values, beliefs, norms, attitudes that influence behavioral choices related to traffic safety. So just to put it into perspective, if you believe that most people do not speed, you're less likely to speed. So behavior modification also requires changes to the culture of roadway users. It has to be socially unacceptable for drivers to speed, or it has to be unacceptable for drivers to drive distracted. So as we continue to educate traffic safety stakeholders, we have expanded our efforts, like we mentioned before, to the 50, which is everyone. As everyone shares the road, we must take care of each other while using the same system. So a reduction in fatalities and serious injuries will only occur if we use new and innovative ways to educate motorists on traffic safety risk. So the goal of Towards Zero Death is to help reduce the number of deaths and serious injuries on our roadways. So each of us in the room already have the goal of zero fatalities for our families and loved ones. So if everyone adopted that philosophy, they'd understand why zero is the only goal that we should shoot for. So thank you for your time. Anything to add, or?
We'll be on Highway 52 on Friday, so. And that's a joint effort with other counties as well too. So Goodyear County and whoever's on Highway 52 will be enforcing the whole state highway on that day. So I think it's a good thing that we have TZD. I think it's a great thing for us because then it builds that relationship with other police departments. It bonds us together with the sheriff's department as well too. You know, we have a good backup system. We work with a very big family, and you know, we watch each other's back when we do these enforcement. You know, and the goal for us is zero death, but the goal for ourselves is to go home to our families as well too.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Now, Mr. David Anderson, Kenyon County Shift Coordinator.
Mayor, or council members, thank you for this time. As Mayor Engel said, I'm David Anderson. I'm the Kenyon County Statewide Health Improvement Partnership Coordinator. We have rebranded our program Live Well Kenyon County. Our mission is to improve the health of our residents by making it easier for them to walk, bike, eat nutritious food, and live tobacco-free. Back in April of this year, we held our first ever Step into Spring Mayor's Walking Challenge. And the goal of the Walking Challenge was to get our residents active by encouraging them to get out and walk. And the secondary goal of the challenge was to learn about each of our communities and what makes walking safe, convenient, and enjoyable, desirable, and what doesn't make it safe, inconvenient, and undesirable. I'm here tonight to announce that Team Kenyon blew everybody else out of the water. We had 5 of our 7 communities participate in the challenge, and I'm also here to present a small trophy that is hopefully going to be a traveling trophy that you guys get to display for the year. Team Kenyon averaged over 111,000 steps per week. And the next closest community was Goodhue, and they averaged over 89,000 steps a week. So I think during the month of April, Kenyon had 0 deaths, traffic deaths, because everybody was out walking. We're hoping that we'll be able to again offer this next year and recruit more people to walk in the communities. We did find out that what makes walking convenient, safe, and desirable in our communities are a good sidewalk and trail system, that there's adequate lighting, and that there's good snow removal. On the reverse side of that, what makes it unsafe, inconvenient, and less desirable are that some of our communities do not have a good sidewalk or trail system, that the sidewalks are icy and dangerous during the winter time, and that there are poor driver behavior. So as TZD is working on education, encouragement, engineering, we are looking at that same aspect of what can we do for our communities, engineering-wise, encouragement-wise, education-wise, evaluation-wise, so we can get more people out there walking and that are going to live longer that way. So thank you for your time and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, we can move on into engineering. update for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your council, in your packet is a brief memo to the council with an update on the fire station project. As you know, the project is essentially done, so we're getting towards the end. Not a lot of activity going on, just a handful of items of note since the last council meeting. The biggest item, as you're all aware, the ribbon cutting and open house occurred on January 24th. Very well attended. There were a lot of good comments on the project. Obviously, the fire department has moved in and are using the facility now as their base of operations. The operations and maintenance manuals have been reviewed. They were found to be very good. 2 hard copies of the manuals were delivered to the fire station on June 24th, right before the open house, along with a hard copy of the as-built drawings for the building itself. We're working to get electronic copies of those documents as well, so that the city can have electronic versions on file as well. Contractors completed all the work on the punch list, and they asked us to contact the USDA architect for him to schedule his inspection. He was scheduled to perform his inspection on June 29th, but I haven't heard anything yet from him whether or not he actually made it down, and if he did, what his comments were.
Yeah.
So we'll follow up with him. Obviously, we're not going to bring the final pay request to the council for consideration until the USDA tells us that it's okay to do so.
Right.
You'll recall at the last month's meeting, we had a pay request that showed all the work was 100% complete, and all we've got left on the contract to pay is the retainage, which is 10%. It's about $215,000. So we'll continue to hold that 10% retainage until we get the clearance from the USDA architect and the USDA funding specialist that says we're okay to take the final pay request to the council. That may happen at the next meeting in August, or it may be September. I guess we'll have to wait and see how things go through the process with USDA to final that out. So with that, there's really no action for the council this month, no pay request, no other action is required, so this is just more of an informational update at this point. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Has that light been fixed out there on the wall that shows Kenyon volunteer fire department? It's just a little one.
I know they were looking at getting a new,
Been-
yeah, they were looking at getting a new unit that has to be more of a flood unit rather than a direct
It has
unit.
to spread the whole way across.
Yeah,
And
and
just very narrow right now.
As of the last communication I had, which was before the 4th of July, it had not yet been switched out because they were waiting to get the new unit in. So we can certainly follow up and make sure that gets switched out.
Thank you, Joe.
Well,
So then we would move on to legal. Kenyon Road extension relating to McConnell property. Got anything to say here?
Yeah, essentially, this is just activating the assessment that was deferred. You dealt with one of these before, actually two of them before. Those were maybe when we were dealing with, this one just is being activated and put up the assessment rules and will be collected. So that's what the resolution does.
So we have a motion to proceed with resolution 2017-12.
So.
Second. On favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Then we have resolution 2017-13 relating to the backhoe truck. Everyone had a chance to look that over? This wasn't in the packet, so.
And this is just part of the lease documents, but we have to have a specific resolution that the council approves the lease additions under IRS tax exempt code and all that good stuff that's listed in there. So as part of the lease agreement, we had to do the same thing with the fire truck when we did that lease. It's just a formality, I guess you could say.
Essentially, yeah, it's just part of the documents and the approval process, and we need to have a resolution on the books that shows that that's been accepted by the city council.
I move that we pass resolution 2017-13.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now on to business, so we're on to new business. New hiring a liquor store bartender clerk. Manager Bartel is recommending hiring a Desiree Johnston as a part-time liquor store bartender. Motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Personnel policy revisions.
There's several provisions to the personnel policy that I want to talk about here real briefly. These items are mostly cleanup, I guess you could say, items from, things that were written 10 or 20 years ago or more. So what you have is a red line copy of the personnel policy, and I'll just kind of go through these here quickly. But starting on what would be page 3 of the personnel policy under line of responsibility and authority, there's reference in there to my having authority to hire, fire, etc., which is not correct as a city administrator, that'd be a city manager. But I recommend hiring, firing, promotion of all employees of the city, and final approval, basically final action, is taken by the council. That says. So that's really just a cleanup thing. Next item would be on page 5, let's see, page 6, under holidays. Basically, this is reflecting the fact that the city has not really observed Columbus Day as a holiday and really traded that for the day after Thanksgiving. I don't know if that was previously approved by the council or not, but we need to get that cleaned up in here so that that holiday reflects the day after Thanksgiving as an addition, and then Columbus Day would be deleted. Then the other part of that is it talks about floating holiday, and that's supposed to be a personal day that all the full-time employees get. It's not a holiday. It's not based on a holiday or anything, so that also needs to be changed to, reflect what is correct. There's also some section language below that talks about floating holiday that would be also changed, as you can see on that page. And if you go down to 9, there's just language in there about vacation purpose that we don't really need in there. I don't think should be in there. I think everybody knows what vacation is. It talks about regular employees of the city being entitled to paid vacation, which is what it needs to say. But it doesn't need to talk about encouraged to use other vacation days, blah, blah, blah. So that, I'd like to strike that language out, just leave it the 2 lines referring to all full-time employees who are eligible for vacation. Then there's also language on the next page that talks about accrual, refers to accrual of vacation. Basically what this, and again, this has been generally when new employees start, they accrue at 4 hours per month, but there's times when employees, especially department head level employees, people like myself or other people who have experience when they're hired, that there's an ability to grant them a higher rate of vacation. Because normally when people are hired, we look at hourly pay and we look at vacation as kind of things that we negotiate when we hire people. Again, depending on the position, and I'd like the personnel policy to reflect that certain employees, again with approval, can accrue their first year at 8 hours. Generally, it would be no more than 8 hours per month. And again, this has to be approved by the city council or city administrator at the time somebody's hired. But it's like when we sit down with somebody about them coming to work for us, we talk about hourly pay, salary, whatever it is, and we also talk about vacation. Because a lot of times employees come, like I did when I started, and I had probably 4 weeks where I was coming from, And so I had asked for 3 weeks, and I think I ended up with 12 days or whatever. But the point is that there's flexibility in, you know, working with people on vacation. Because sometimes people would rather get another week of vacation than get paid more, for example, and this gives us more flexibility. And in the labor market that we're in now, we need all the, you know, we can get, so. There's that, and then right below that, vacation accrual beginning the first day of employment, which is still the same. During the, and this also goes back to the probationary period. Right now it says vacation can only be taken during the 6 month, after the 6 month completion of the 6 month probationary period. And what I'd like that to change that to say is vacation can only be taken during the 6 month probationary period with approval of the department head and the city administrator. This does not come up very often, but there are times when, again, people need to take a day or two off, and we still need the check of, you know, myself and the department head signing off on that. And the intent is that they would use it only in, now I won't say emergencies, but, you know, situations where there might be a hardship or something that comes up. It's not going to be the normal thing that they start, you know, using their vacation right away. But again, I think this is common in other cities and organizations. And so I'd like to see that change to kind of reflect, you know, that there's a little bit of flexibility there. It doesn't say that people can take vacation, you know, the first 6 months. It just says that with approval they can. And the intention would be that that's not going to be the normal thing, but in cases of, you know, in certain cases they want to take a day off here or there, that they'd have ability to do that. And we run into this periodically with people where it would be, I think, reasonable to give them a day off for some family event or something that doesn't fall under sick leave. And then after the completion of the probationary period, of course, then it becomes, you know, that they can use whatever they accrued as a normal, any other normal full-time employee can. So then there's a strike for the section where it says that it can't be used, vacation can't be used during probation. Then the next paragraph talks about vacation days. And this one I think actually is more tightening things up. But the current policy reflects that up to 2 weeks can be taken by an employee with approval of the department head. And I think that needs to be changed, that up to 1 week consecutive or 5 days consecutive can be taken with approval of the department head, but that in certain cases, vacation may be approved up to 2 consecutive weeks, but that basically has to be approved by me and the department head. And again, that's not the norm. I mean, people don't take 2 weeks off very often. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, in 4 years that I've been here, I could probably think of 2 cases where an employee took maybe a week and a half off, or usually it's a hunting related thing. But again, this just gives a little more check and balance of, you know, it's not saying that we can't give somebody 2 weeks, it just says that I would have to. And this is normally how it works anyway. Normally the department head comes to me with vacation, whether it's a week or 2 weeks, and lets me know this is what the person plans on doing. But I think anything over a week especially is what we really want to know about that ahead of time as much as possible. So that's, again, a change that I'm proposing. Other than that, it's just basically cleanup of just the way things are worded. So other than that, let's see, then under resignation, right now the language, if you look at page 8, is based on, if somebody resigns, it's based on how much money they make. And this is not, I don't think, reflective of, you know, what should be normal personnel policies. And I just don't think it's a good way that it's worded. So I'd like to just change it to simplify it so that it says that employees that resign that are regular full-time employees have to provide 2 weeks notice. I mean, that's pretty much common. And then department heads would provide 3 weeks. And usually with department heads, they try to give us, even a month. But I think that's one area that this policy is, it's just not a good thing, the way it's worded, so. And then, let's see, if we go to page 10, a couple pages in, at the top of page 10, there's language that talks about that sick leave may be used for doctor or dental appointments. That's where that needs to end. It refers to sick leave may be used for doctor dental appointments which cannot be scheduled outside of the normal workday. And again, that's not normal wording as far as the personnel policy goes. So basically, it just says that what it's supposed to be used for. So, and then H gets more into that, but that's not being changed. But the rest of the section gets more specific as far as the parameters of vacation use. So, I guess that's it. So I don't know if there's any questions on that. The personnel committee met last week and reviewed this, and I guess recommended these changes.
Motion to approve the revisions. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we're getting right on down there. Depot Park liquor requests, we got 2 of them here. Richard Westfall for July 23rd and Larry and Bertha Johnson for August 12th. We can approve them both with one motion, can't we?
Yes.
So moved.
Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Rose Fest requests.
So you have a listing there of items related to Rose Fest, which again can all be approved. Can all be approved in the same motion, I believe.
Well, since I haven't done it yet tonight, I will make the motion that we approve the Rose Fest requests.
We'll second that one then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minnesota Small Cities Development Program grant of $655,320.
So the city was awarded that grant of $655,000 from the state through the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, Small Cities Development Program. This is for commercial and residential rehabilitation. This grant was originally submitted 2 years ago. So the first round, we were kind of given conditional, I guess we were given a conditional nod to go ahead and reapply. And so then we reapplied and we got funded the second time. And this is, you know, nice. I mean, this program is hard to get. It's tight. Money's very tight. So it's very competitive. So the fact that we got this, I'm very excited about it, and I want to thank Semcra and everybody here at the city that helped us put this together. But we're excited about it. So funds will probably more than likely be available mid to late October. Again, depending on the funding cycles and everything. So the grant will be administered through Semcra. And they will be forwarding information to businesses and residents that are identified in the grant, and wherever they do general notification, they also will do that. So
That's a nice little bit of good news to close the business off with.
So they contact all the ones that were interested earlier.
yes, that's what they would do. Because they listed, I don't have that in front of me, but they listed, you know, it was based on taking businesses that they found were eligible, and then residents or rental or whatever they included, and that's what the aggregate was based on. And then obviously they also look at what they think is available funding, and you know, try to put a grant amount request together that they feel is reasonable and has a chance of getting funded. So that's what they did.
Then, other business, the upcoming meetings, we've got EDA meeting Tuesday, July 25th at 8 a.m. here. SEM Southeastern Minnesota League of Municipalities meeting Monday, July 31st in Lake City. Doesn't say the time here, but it's in the packet. And our next council meeting is here on Tuesday, August 8th, 7 p.m. Council and staff general comments.
I was happy to hear Officer Alex has purchased a home in town. He's living here now. I think that's great news.
I've got a couple. Want to welcome Holly aboard. And then a special thank you to the first responders. Fine group of young men. They are very prompt, efficient, and they know their stuff. And so hopefully you never have to use them, but if you do, I'll tell you what, they're a great bunch of guys, and I thank you guys. And for the public, when you see these guys, they spend a lot of time in schooling and stuff like that, gates.
Training.
Exactly, so give them a special thank you.
You say you don't have.
Oh, yeah. We all do.
And other than that, I have no comments.
Yeah, good comments there, Fred. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I'll second that.
On favor?
Aye. Pretty well.
Did you get the last motion? German?
I saw that you did
I think I got it.
That would come up and put it up there.
Yeah, I got all of them.
Of all things, Friday.
Thanks, Chief.